What's up everybody? I got another great video for you here today, and I'm here today to talk about why you should consider taking a motorcycle trip to Washington State. So I'm over here at Deception Pass State Park. It's over here in North Washington State in the Puget Sound area, up where Skagit County and Island County meet. This behind me is not a background, this is in real life. It is amazingly beautiful here where I am at Bowman Bay. So let's talk about the reasons why you should consider taking a motorcycle trip to Washington State. When most people think Washington State, they think Seattle.
Go for it!
If you come up here, there are a million other things to see other than the city of Seattle. For starters, if you're an East Coast rider, you're familiar, especially in the Southeast area, you're familiar with the Dragon's Tail and a bunch of other places around the Appalachian Mountains where you can go ride the twisties and have fun and all that other stuff. But if you've ever ventured out west, you know, especially in Colorado and other places like that, the mountain twisties out in the Rockies are amazing. It's great. In Washington State, you have the Cascade Mountain Range, and the Cascade Mountain Range has a bunch of neat little roads that you can ride up and down, and it's freaking amazing. I did another video, and I'll put the link up here up top, of the other video that I did of the top 5 motorcycle rides that I had in Washington State. Check that out. And if you're in here in Washington State, definitely ride those and you won't be disappointed. The number of motorcycle rides, and even though that video listed 5, are just about endless that are amazing here in Washington State. In addition to the twisty mountain roads I was just talking about in Western Washington, also in Western Washington, you're gonna find a bunch of awesome Pacific Coast routes that you're going to absolutely love. The famous Route 101 starts up in Washington State, so you'll find a lot of great Pacific Coast riding coming down the Western Washington Pacific Coast. In addition to that, you'll find a bunch of neat little coastal towns and other little nooks and crannies like Whidbey Island, the scenic Whidbey Island route. A bunch of neat little towns to come in, spend some time, get some food, stuff like that. You will be very impressed by some of these great coastal rides also in Western Washington. In addition to the awesome rides that you're gonna find in Western Washington, if you go over the mountains and go into Eastern Washington, you're gonna find a whole nother riding environment out there. So there's a bunch of high desert that's out there. Out on the Palouse, it is the most wonderful oceans of grain that you've ever seen. Great twisty roads in some of those areas out there on the Palouse, highly recommend. So you'll find high desert, some plains type stuff out on the eastern part of the state, and in the western part of the state, more mountainous coastal stuff. Great variety in both locations. I would highly recommend. You have such a great variety of motorcycle riding experiences here in this state. It's one of the largest reasons why I would recommend anyone to come out here and just spend a little time on 2 wheels. Another reason why you should consider coming down here is if you're a southern rider like myself, you know that the heat can get downright oppressive at times. It's hot in the south, absolutely no doubt. And when you're riding in the middle of July, August, in that time frame, you're in a challenge to keep moving. You want to keep moving, and depending on the motorcycle you're riding, sometimes things can get a little hot down there, not in a good way. If you come up and take a ride up to Washington State and can spend a little time up here, usually the summers are relatively mild. Think 70s, low 80s, that temperature range in Western Washington, which is where a lot of these rides that'll take you up in the mountains are. If you ride out in Eastern Washington, it will get a little hot out there. You will see triple digits, but it's not that wet heat that we have in the south. You will greatly appreciate the difference between the dry heat and the heat that we have down there. So that's another reason to consider. Not only do you have a bunch of great mountain rides that are available to you, but you also have a temperate climate to do it in that's relatively friendly to motorcycle riders. The third reason why you should consider taking a motorcycle ride to Washington State is that the motorcycle community here is quite expansive and is quite friendly. So I lived up here for about 10 years and I rode a motorcycle in just about all of those 10 years. The number of motorcycle riders out here is above average, and so you're not underrepresented necessarily in population on the road. The other thing is, everyone that I've met while I was traveling on my motorcycle here in Washington State, I never met a stranger. Everyone was super friendly, and I loved the experience of being in that community. On one of my other videos, I did talk about the oyster run here in Anacortes. That's not too far from where I am currently. It's an amazing experience, a family-friendly motorcycle rally held right in the center of downtown Anacortes. You got to check that out. It's an awesome experience, but that's a great example of the motorcycle community here in Washington State. Plenty of riders, a lot of people have fun, and it's also in a clean and family-friendly environment. And so I can't boast about it enough. The motorcycle community here is pretty awesome. So that's pretty much it. Those are my top 3 reasons why you should consider taking a motorcycle trip up to Washington State. It's got a bunch of great mountain roads. It's got a bunch of great roads, period, to go and take a look. You got your mountain stuff in Western Washington. You've got your high desert and other climates out in Eastern Washington. It's a great variety of motorcycle rides. Definitely worth checking that out. Second reason is the great climate that's here. It's relatively mild compared to some riders where, especially coming from the south, you'll find a much milder riding season here than you will down in the south. And the third reason is the great and expansive motorcycle community, which I cannot recommend enough. So thanks for watching. If you've got a moment, consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps. I appreciate everyone's help in trying to grow this channel, so keep subscribing. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like and share this video so that others may find it. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.